Hey, folks, today is Monday, July 29, 2019. This is Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from Providence, Rhode Island, site of the annual Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Golf Classic. Folks, we're talking Donald Trump playing race card, going after Congressman Elijah Cummings of Baltimore, now blasting Reverend Al Sharpton as well. I talked with Baltimore Mayor Bernard Young on the Tom Joyner Morning Show. We'll have that for you. Also, nearly 150 black members of the Obama administration condemned Trump's racist attacks on the 4 freshman minority women of Congress in an op-ed published in the Washington Post. Also, according to a report by the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies, a large percentage of the African-American workforce is at high risk for being replaced by automation. We'll have that for you. Plus, a large segment of the population has no idea what's in the Robert Mueller report and why it matters. We'll talk with a Republican operative who wants to change that. She does not like Donald Trump. And also, sad news, Eric Garner's stepfather died while walking his daughter down the aisle during her wedding in Jamaica. We'll have the details for you. And a leader of the Democratic Campaign Committee is out because of the lack of diversity in the committee's senior ranks. Folks, it's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
Hey, folks, Roland Martin here, broadcasting live from Providence, Rhode Island, of course, where the annual Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Golf Classic is taking place. But we're talking about leading off today, Baltimore. Donald Trump is using white racism. That's what he's doing. Racism against African Americans as a campaign strategy. It is abundantly clear now after his weekend of tweets attacking Congressman Elijah Cummings and the city of Baltimore, saying that the city is far worse and more dangerous than the southern border. He went on to call it a disgusting rat and rodent infested mess. The city of Baltimore fought back when CNN anchor Victor Blackwell, a native of that city, expressed what the whole city felt about Trump's racist attack.
Well, you know, the president...
Infested. That's usually reserved for references to rodents and insects, but we've seen the president invoke infestation to criticize lawmakers before. You see a pattern here? Just 2 weeks ago, President Trump attacked 4 minority congresswomen. Why don't they go back to the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Reminder, 3 of them were born here. All of them are American. Infested, he says. A week before his inauguration, January 2017, Congressman John Lewis should spend more time on fixing and helping his district, which is in horrible shape and falling apart, not to mention crime-infested. Donald Trump has tweeted more than 43,000 times. He's insulted thousands of people, many different types of people. But when he tweets about infestation, it's about black and brown people. The president says about Congressman Cummings' district, that no human would want to live there. You know who did, Mr. President? I did. From the day I was brought home from the hospital to the day I left for college. And a lot of people I care about still do. There are challenges, no doubt. But people are proud of their community. I don't want to sound self-righteous, but people get up and go to work there. They care for their families there. They love their children who pledge allegiance to the flag, just like people who live in districts of congressmen who support you, sir. They are Americans, too.
In fact, numerous folks over the weekend were tweeting "Stand Up for Baltimore," responding to the comments of Donald Trump. Congressman Elijah Cummings, he also fired back, saying that he not only knows about the issues in Baltimore, he actually goes home every single night fighting for his district. Now, here's how all of this stuff started. Kim Klachik, who you often have seen on this show, actually haven't seen her in a while because she got a little miffed because of a photo that we used of her on social media. So she said, "I'm not coming back again." Well, she, of course, is a black conservative out of Baltimore. Well, she went around Baltimore shooting some video of trash and row houses, interviewing people who said they did not like the conditions in Baltimore. Well, Fox News put her on the air. So guess what happened? She was on early on Saturday morning. Donald Trump saw her video on Fox News discussing Baltimore. Voila! What does he do? He attacks Congressman Elijah Cummings. But also, why is he attacking specifically Congressman Elijah Cummings? Because he is chairman of the House Oversight Committee. What are they doing? They're investigating Donald Trump. He's upset because Congressman Cummings was also extremely tough on the head of the U.S. Border Patrol. Folks, that's what's going on here. What's also at play, though, is Donald Trump targeting white voters. What he desperately needs is to gin up the issue of race, because that is music to the ears of his white, low education voters, specifically white men. Why do we know that? Today, he decides to attack the Reverend Al Sharpton, calling him a con man and blasting him. Do you see the strategy? Donald Trump attacked Congresswoman Maxine Waters, low IQ, attacking Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. John Kelly, as chief of staff, did so from the podium. Then, of course, he attacks Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, member of the CBC. He attacks Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, member of the CBC. He attacks Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Latina. He attacks Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, Muslim from Detroit, who took the place of Congressman John Conyers. We could go on and on and on and on and on with this, but that is what you're dealing with when you talk about Donald Trump. Ron Brownstein of The Atlantic had a story where he broke this thing down, where he talked about Donald Trump and what he is doing, and said he is clearly and targeting white voters, knowing full well that these issues appeal to those white voters in a very unique way. I want to go to my panel. Joining me right now, Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver, political analyst at George Jefferson Nuri, communication strategist, R.C. Maxwell, Republican strategist. R.C., I will start with you. Again, you have some Republicans. It's very interesting, R.C., how quiet a lot of Republicans have been. Take Mark Meadows. This is a man who, when he felt aggrieved by being attacked by Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, he thundered, "Congressman Elijah Cummings is one of my dearest friends." It's amazing, R.C., that Mark Meadows has said nothing about Trump's attacks on his dear friend Elijah Cummings. What's going on here?
Well, what's going on is you see the president finally standing up for the contemptible conditions that black residents in Baltimore are living under. Let me read a couple of stats for you. Since Friday, there was 13 people shot, including a 12-year-old boy who died. Furthermore, you can smell the rats. That was an exact quote made by a former mayor of Baltimore, Catherine Pugh. Furthermore, in 2017, there was a film literally called Rat Film. What was that about? Baltimore and their rat infestation. So despite the attempts by people in the media to try to caricature these descriptions from the president as racist, what they are is they're actually a depiction of reality. And I think that you did a little bit of justice finally mentioning Kimberly Klachik. She was the woman who even brought this issue to a national front, a black woman, a Baltimore resident standing up for her people. So it's not racist for the president to talk about these positions. In fact, the only thing that's racist are the Democrats who refuse to do something and lift the finger to help these issues. Did you know, Roland, that it took 3 days for Baltimore City officials to remove 3 Confederate statues? 3 days. That's all it took.
RC, let me ask you a question.
You would think that they would do something to remove the trash.
RC,
so that's what I think.
RC, you can overtalk, but it's not going to work. Let me ask you a question. What do you make of Jared Kushner being one of the largest slum lord owners in Baltimore, and based upon lawsuits saying his Baltimore apartments have been infested with rodents, mold, and maggots? Is Donald Trump going to walk down the hall and tell Jared, clean up those apartments?
I don't think the idea of Jared Kushner owning some properties that have been infested with rats, I don't think that's mutually exclusive with the idea that Democrats have allowed the state to functionally be failed.
Wait, RC. His son-in-law owns rat-infested apartments in Baltimore. So if he is criticizing rodents and infestation in Baltimore, why not tell his son-in-law, go clean up those damn apartments?
Yeah, newsflash, Roland. Everyone who owns property in that area is infested with rats. That's why it's disgusting and it needs to be cleaned up. It's not Jared Kushner's fault.
Why not tell Jared to go fix the problem? He said in his tweet, he challenged Congressman Cummings to fix the problem. Why not tell his son-in-law, fix your damn rat-infested apartments?
I don't think you know how city planning works. If a private owner cleans rats out of his area, that doesn't mean that the rat
now you're making excuses.
Is going to be resolved.
Excuses for Jared, but you're criticizing black folks. Okay.
I'm explaining to you how the world works. If Jared Kushner was to eradicate rats from buildings, out of Baltimore, they just return. See,
I need popcorn for this.
Are you saying that
hold up.
that film was made about Jared Kushner's, or was it made about the city of Baltimore? Right? You can play these games with other people, but you can't play these games with me.
RC, you can't criticize. RC. You cannot. RC, you can't criticize rats and trash in Baltimore and ignore a person who owns rat-infested buildings in Baltimore who happens to be the son-in-law. But RC, before I go to Avis, I got to ask you this: could you please expound on Donald Trump's restaurants that have been cited for rats?
You're deflecting from the conversation. This conversation is about black residents in Democrat-ran cities living in rat-infested territories that have trash that's out in the street. This isn't about a restaurant Trump owned by rats in it. This is a joke. This is a joke.
RC, nice try. He was specifically criticizing rat-infested places in Baltimore. His own restaurants in New York have been cited for rat infestation. Is that good or bad?
That's not the conversation. Is it good or bad for black single mothers to be living in rat-infested neighborhoods in Baltimore?
That's not the conversation.
This conversation is about. This conversation is not about Trump.
Not about Trump.
Let me go to Avis. Avis, you got Avis.
Yeah.
Avis, you gotta love this here. You gotta love RC saying it's not about Trump when Trump is the one who started the tweeting about rats and rodents.
Let's even go back before that. Let's even go back before that. Trump was the one who ran on the motto, "Make America Great Again." Last I checked, Baltimore was in America. So why isn't he doing that? Number one. Number two, in terms of Jared Kushner, he has a total of 170 code violations in the properties that he owns in Baltimore alone. That means Jared Kushner is breaking the law. And that's how that world works. I'm wondering what Jared Kushner is doing for his tenants whom he has avoided correcting the code violations that he has to this day, specifically against the laws and the regulations of housing as it relates in the city of Baltimore. You know, it's very convenient. It's very convenient for this president to continually use, I wouldn't even say dog whistles, I would say out and out racist conversation around talking about majority black spaces, whether they be neighborhoods, whether they be entire countries. He has a way of specifically talking about places that only represent people who look like you and me. I would just have to say finally that I am in full support and agreement of the Baltimore Sun's editorial board when they said that I would much rather live among rats than to be one.
Be a rat.
Because that's exactly who's inhabiting the White House right now.
Roland, let me chime in here.
Joy, go ahead.
Not only do I agree 100% with Ms. Avis sitting right here, but Donald Trump, in the middle of the unrest in Baltimore in 2015, writes that President Obama had a responsibility to go to Baltimore and to help out. He is now president of the United States, and so where is his responsibility? In addition to that, Donald Trump obviously doesn't understand the division of government. It is not the representative from Congress who cleans up the city. It would be the mayor. He also knows nothing about Elijah Cummings. Elijah Cummings lives in that district, lives in that city all the time. He does not have a home in Washington. He goes to Baltimore every day. And for everybody who knows the 7th District, and I'm from Baltimore, everybody who knows the 7th District, his community is on the uptick. He's creating jobs he's helping the mayor of the city create jobs for that community. That is not the community he should be complaining about. Elijah Cummings is beloved and respected in his community because he is on the streets in that community, making a difference in their lives. This is, like Avis said, not dog whistling. This is an all-out holla. You have to vote for me, white people, because I'm going to support your racism.
So, RC, I got to ask you again, since you want to deflect and say it has nothing to do with Trump, how can you criticize rat infestation when your own son-in-law owns those very buildings that are rat infested? Shouldn't he fix the problem? He's the slumlord. He's a landowner. He owns the buildings. Shouldn't it be his job, not the member of Congress, to fix a rodent problem in the building? Or shall you deflect again?
I mean, it's a loaded question fallacy, complex question fallacies, faulty premise fallacies. I can name the amount of fallacies that are faulty that your question is premised on. But Roland, you're a very smart person. You know exactly what you're talking about. Let me add one more thing that I do really want to say. You talk about the Baltimore Sun
Name what I said that was false. No, RC. Name what I just said that was false.
The faulty premise is, number one, that a singular property owner replenishing his neighborhood somehow has an impact on the entire city. Like I said, the Baltimore Sun, that exam editorial board that you talk about, they wrote an op-ed entitled
RC, I have to stop you.
Were they talking about Jared
RC,
Kushner?
I have to stop you. RC, you're not going to sit here and lie. RC, RC, I do not cut microphones. I do not cut microphones. What you're not going to do, is sit here and lie. RC, this is real simple. This is real simple, RC. RC, this is real simple.
Tangible conversation. Here's the root of the conversation.
I need you to you're not going to continue. You're not going to continue until I make this point. I don't cut microphones, but I'm going to cut your microphone if you don't stop. If you don't stop, I'm going to cut your microphone. I need you to answer the basic question.
Standard discussion.
Cut his microphone. Cut his microphone. Now, RC, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to allow you to answer the question. What you're not going to do on this show is overtalk me. It's not going to happen. You're not going to overtalk a guest. I'm going to allow you to finish. But what you're not going to do is when I tell you to stop, you stop. Now, answer this question. If Donald Trump wants Baltimore to be improved when it comes to trash, when it comes to rat infestation, why not say my son-in-law Jared is going to set the example by fixing the problems in his building, and I challenge others to do the same. Now you can talk.
Do you think Jared Kushner is a super of this building? Roland, how moronic are you? Jared Kushner is not sitting and managing this building. You know that. This is a problem of the city of Baltimore.
He's a part of the person managing the building.
Does he not hire people to do that? How moronic is it to suggest that he doesn't have employees that apparently are not doing their damn jobs if he has 170 violations
And he
that he has yet to clear from the books? Why hasn't he? Why is Jared Kushner breaking the law today? Answer that damn question. Why is he breaking the law 170 times? Can you explain why he's doing that? And another question, why ain't America great yet? Because he claimed he was going to make America great again, and last I saw, Baltimore is in America. Why isn't it great?
And time's ticking.
Am I allowed to speak for 30 seconds?
Now you want to speak after you've been talking over people all day. Go right ahead.
30 seconds without being interrupted by a loud black
Oh, now you know how it feels. Now you know how it feels to talk over how people talk over you. Go right on ahead. You may speak after having a black woman talk over you.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, RC. Go ahead, RC.
The city of Baltimore has had exactly 2 Republican mayors since 1920. I don't believe in coincidences.
They have a Republican governor.
Time and time again, it's been proven that when black Americans elect Democrats in their urban communities, they risk institutional failure. Now find the lie in that statement.
There's a Republican governor right now in the second term.
Find the lie.
Second term
The
Republican
mayor of
governor in
Baltimore.
Maryland.
You just said yourself, it's the mayor of Baltimore.
Why? Wait a minute.
It's the mayor of Baltimore.
Wait a minute. Why can't
Mayor of Baltimore.
RC? Why is it the governor fixing the problem? The governor of Maryland could create a task force to literally go into Baltimore and fix the problem. He has the authority. Why is it the Republican governor doing that, RC?
I don't know. He should be. Here's my question. We're talking about Baltimore now
That's your guy.
because of President Trump. You guys weren't talking about Baltimore in your program, were you?
We talk about Baltimore a lot. We talk about Baltimore a lot.
When's the last time you watched it, bud?
We talk about Baltimore a lot. We talk about Baltimore a lot. Let me tell you this. Why isn't Trump talking about the decrease of the tax base in Baltimore? Because industries there have left and gone overseas. He didn't help with that.
They sure
He
have.
said he was going to bring back jobs to the American city. He hasn't done that. He said that he was going to help with public school education. Then he puts Betsy the boss in place, which strips public school education. He has done absolutely nothing from his seat to help the city of Baltimore or any other major city except sit there and tweet, because basically he doesn't understand the issues. He doesn't understand the issues. He only knows how to talk up here and not about what has to happen on the ground for these changes to happen. He is not understanding his
let me
job.
help you out. I got it. RC, let me help you out. We've actually broadcast the show from Baltimore. We've done a town hall in Baltimore. We've talked about Baltimore. Yes, so you're wrong again.
And while you did all that talking about Baltimore, what's happened to the rats? It's gotten bigger.
Hold
what's
up, wait a minute.
Trash?
Since you're questioning this, RC, has Donald Trump been to Baltimore?
Donald Trump is the president of the entire United States. He's been president for about 2.5 years.
It's only an hour from the White House.
He's getting to Baltimore because the black Democrats clearly don't give a damn about the city.
7th district isn't even about
RC, Donald Trump has flown all. Donald Trump has flown all the way to. One second, Joy. Donald Trump, RC, has flown all the way to Florida to play golf. In fact, he has driven to the suburbs of Virginia to play this golf course there. It's an equal distance to Baltimore. Why don't you send him a tweet or an email and say, hey, Donnie boy, why don't you actually go to Baltimore since you got so much to say?
Well, I'm glad you guys are now agreeing that Baltimore is actually a terrible place, despite the video, the very warm video
we're not.
of that CNN anchor.
We're not agreeing it's a terrible place.
Based on the accurate depiction of
No, we're not. We're not agreeing it's a terrible place. The reality is this. There are cities, there are big cities and rural cities. There are towns, there are neighborhoods that need to be improved all over America. In fact, Mick Mulvaney, the chief of staff of Donald Trump, had the audacity to question the poverty rate in Baltimore, even though the poverty rate of the congressional district that he represented was less than 1% of the poverty rate in Cummings district. So if you want to talk poverty, you want to talk how bad communities are, do understand this here. Congressman Jim Clyburn, RC, has an amendment called the Clyburn Amendment, where he wants 10% of all federal funds to go to areas, census tracts where 20% or more of the people have lived below poverty for the last 30 years. 2/3 of those areas are in Republican congressional districts.
And Roland, let me add that this is not about Baltimore.
Absolutely.
This is about Elijah
Nope.
Cummings and the Oversight Committee.
Absolutely.
This is about
Yep.
black people. This is about Donald Trump shoring up his reelection by signaling the people who he thinks are his base. Who doesn't care, because he thinks if he gets turnout of his base, he's going to win re-election. He doesn't even realize he actually lost the last election. The Electoral College gave him that seat. He lost the last election. So he really doesn't care about Baltimore, because next week it'll be Chicago. The week after that it'll be Miami. Wherever there is a black representative where he can signal his people, I'm with you, far right, I'm with you, Klan, because there's good people on both sides of that argument. Which is not about Baltimore at all.
Nope. So again, everybody who's watching, I want y'all to understand, guys like RC are caping for Donald Trump using his racial tweets to gin his base up. The tweets of Al Sharpton serve the exact same purpose. We have seen this game before, and we'll see it again. And the way to shut him up and to throw him out is to mobilize and organize.
And
it's
vote.
as simple as that.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to talk more about the news today. We'll be back at Roland Martin Unfiltered in just a moment. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. Hey, folks, you've heard me talk a lot about marijuanastock.org. Why? Because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We have all watched the growth of the cannabis industry. A recent report by New Frontier Data estimates the global cannabis market at more than $340 billion. And we know that marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We also know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all of the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. And they need land to grow all of these plants. Folks, this isn't rocket science. It's just an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. And you can get in on the action. My friends at 420 Real Estate decided to do something special for the Roland Martin Unfiltered family. Originally, the minimum investment level was $500. But right now, you can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200. That's right, $200 up to $10,000. Let me recap. This is a $340 billion industry that is still growing. And you can participate with as little as $200. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game and get in the game now. All right, folks, the Obama administration, more than 150 people, black former staffers for the Obama administration, signed a letter condemning Trump's recent racist go-back remarks aimed at the 4 minority women of Congress who are freshmen. President Barack Obama also weighed in, saying he's proud of how his former staff is continuing to fight for an America that's better. The letter was published in an op-ed in the Washington Post on Friday. Avis, I want to go to you first. I mean, what you have here, and again, guys like RC and the Candace Owens of the world and the rest of them, they can be loud, they can be wrong, they can wear their red hats or whatever, but it is abundantly clear that what Donald Trump wants to do is he wants to have a race discussion. What he wants is he wants to pit races against each other, because he knows these attacks that he is involved in is appealing directly to these low education white voters, the white men who went for him by more than 30%. But the problem, according to Ron Brownstein, is that white women who are working class voters are not necessarily being appealed to with this. So he's actually making a dangerous play here. But this seems to be his only play because, frankly, a whole bunch of people don't like this nasty man.
Well, that's true, although I'm not sure that I agree that he doesn't appeal to white women. I mean, we do recall that he won 54% of the white women's vote last time. And I just have, and to be perfectly honest, there were white women under Klan hoods just as well as there were white men under Klan hoods. So let's just be very real about that. But you're exactly right. His specific strategy, and it's not, I'm not even giving him the credit for coming up with it. This is just who he is. But if you remember, his advisor, Steve Bannon, specifically has said that they win when they are racially divisive. And basically what he is looking to do is to really energize his base so they would overperform on Election Day. What he's not taking into consideration is that if the Democrats can get their act together in terms of messaging and in terms of really inspiring their base to turn out in key states, that they can overcome those very slim margins that he won by in key states across the nation last time. It's really about a battle of who is going to energize their base more, and probably there's nothing that can energize people more than being mad, and he's making a whole hell of a lot of people mad these days.
I think
Joy,
that...
Joy,
yes.
Go ahead.
No, I think that Avis is right. We can't count on white women to vote against him. But we know from other statewide races since the election of Donald Trump, black women forming together can defeat a candidate. And black men who are allowed to vote because of the criminal justice system, so many black men and women are outside of the system. We need voter turnout. And we also have to understand that pitting race is not new in our history. Using race against us is not new in our history, yet we continue to prevail. We just have to realize and stay connected and stay woke enough to go to the polls and not keep arguing back and forth whether or not it's good enough to vote. We have to vote. This is life and death. Not only is he dog whistling or hollering out to his people, but the streets aren't safe. There are more and more people in those red caps or supporters of the red caps who feel like they can police you on the street. More and more videos of white people deciding you can't come in this building, you can't cook out, you can't. They're feeling emboldened by this. So it's not just about the election of 2020. It's about the quality of life for black people in this country.
So RC, real simple. Why are you perfectly fine with Trump making appeals, his racist appeals? You cool with that? You approve of that?
Well, look, I don't think that the president is making quote-unquote racist appeals. I think, if anything, the Democrats are the ones attempting to, create an issue with this election over race. Here's something I also will say. I will say that black Americans are now just starting to stand up. I like the little intro where you attempt to kind of disparage people who think like me or people who think like Candace. However, you're failing to acknowledge that this is what the majority of black Americans are really starting to feel like. There's eventually going to be a time in which people who...
That's a lie.
What street do you
show me the evidence where a majority of African Americans agree with you and Candace. Show me the evidence.
That's not exactly what I said. I say a majority of Americans have this growing sentiment that President Trump is kind of stoking at when he talks about things such as the decrepit conditions in Baltimore. Those kinds of things, when the president mentions that, that is going to make Blexit even more of a reality. That's what's going to make black Americans stand up. There's not only R.C. Maxwell. There's not only Candace Owens. Sure, these may be the names that you see in the media, but there's black Americans every single day that I see videos of that are starting to come out and stand up more and more every day, especially when you look at some of the data from a place like Florida where black women stood up for not Andrew Gilliam, Ron DeSantis. Why? Because of things just out of school choice. So you guys are attempting to paint somewhat of a bleak outlook of President Trump's ability to garner support from African-American communities. However, that cannot be farther from the truth based upon things that we've seen.
RC, you said a majority of Americans. First of all, you were talking about black folks, then you flipped it to Americans. But a Pew Research Center poll showed that 56% of Americans say Trump has made race relations worse. I'm sorry, where's your data?
56 of Americans can say that President Trump has made race relations worse. That doesn't mean that the Democrats are going to win Wisconsin, Florida, Michigan, Ohio, and states that they need to win.
You're changing your tune. Now you're changing your tune. Let me give you one more. The Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs Research. 57% of Americans considered Trump to be racist. Where's your data?
Okay, all these polls and all this data can say one thing, and then when it comes to the election, we're going to have complete different results. So you can continue to tout these polls that failed you in 2016, but I'm going to rely upon the data that
let me remind you.
In terms of what you're seeing from new figures. Kimberly
All the data you're hearing on the street.
Inspired young black Americans who are standing up for President Trump, and it's going to catch on, and you're going to see it come 2020. Guarantee it.
RC, let me help you out with something as somebody who is a veteran at this. Okay? Now hold on, Joy. Let me help you, RC. Never, ever come on television, come on radio, and say a majority of Americans feel this way if you don't have the receipts. I asked you for the receipts. You can't supply them. You said
silent
people
majority,
I talked to
Roland.
on the
reason why we
streets.
have the term silent majority.
I provided you actual data.
Lost the house, I guess.
Data. We call that receipts. And you can't even respond to it. So again, RC, don't ever do that because a guy like me will bust you in real time. Go ahead, Avis.
Go ahead, Avis. ABC, NBC, all polls that says that everyone hates President Trump and Hillary Clinton.
Avis, go ahead.
Avis, your flawed data.
My name is Avis.
RC, stop talking. Avis' turn to talk.
I just thought it was
RC, it's Avis' turn to talk. Avis, go ahead.
You're well, thank you. I just thought it was very interesting that he alluded to a solid majority in the most recent election that we had. In terms of Congress, we literally saw a blue wave in terms of a huge takeover of the House. And so I find it very interesting that this silent majority was so silent that apparently they decided not to even vote. I also kind of remember recently seeing a video of a young black man who was, and I suppose perhaps is rethinking his support of President Trump after the tweets that Trump specifically put out telling the 4 black women of color congresswomen to go back to where he came from. Now, inexplicably, he says that comment came out of left field, which I don't understand how he got that interpretation. But then he goes on to say that it really caused him to really question, what was his motivation and the fact that he was perhaps racist. And he specifically said out of his mouth, a black Republican who was a pro-Trump Republican specifically said that other friends of his who are also formerly Trump supporters are now going on to support people like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because now they see him for what and who he is, which is, of course, a racist, intellectually deficient, as well as a very evil and hateful human being.
I think that...
Joy, final comment.
Okay, I think that people like RC and the gentleman that Avis was just referring to, who we saw last week on this video, actually do believe that they were the good Negroes and that they would be accepted by this president and its races because you are different. And then they're surprised when they get lumped in with the rest of us out in the field. And so now they're in shock, and they can't defend it. RC, you can't defend it. This gentleman couldn't defend it, and neither can anybody else because you are still a black person. And he's not saying, oh, just those black people I don't like go home. He's saying all y'all go home. Now, I'm actually at home. So, but I just don't, you can't separate yourself from the rest of the race because it's convenient for you. It's all of us.
Just
attack
like
is on
you
all
can't
of
attempt
us.
to silence black people that you disagree with, Joy.
I would not want to silence the black people I disagree with. I would just want facts and figures.
RC.
I'm not trying to silence you. All I'm trying to tell you is that you're not thinking logically. You're not thinking logically. You are thinking...
I'm not silencing you, RC.
RC from Roly Poly, right?
RC,
because black voices that are
silence you.
Affected, right?
RC, I can't silence you if I'm the one who brought you on the show. What I will not do is let you lie. That's not going to happen.
Okay. Well, speaking of lies, let's talk about the Baltimore Sun editorial board while you cut me off when I couldn't talk about how that same editorial board
Sun,
who wrote a scathing op-ed against the president is the same.
Oh, absolutely.
RC, you're trying to go back, but you can't even argue your current point. All right, here's our next story, folks. There's a large segment of the population that has no idea what's in the Robert Mueller report and why they should even care. They get their news from Fox, and they're shocked to hear that the Mueller report didn't completely exonerate Donald Trump. As we head to the 2020 election, it's important for Democrats to reach and inform that section of society, but also conservatives. Joining us with a novel approach to doing that is longtime Republican strategist Sherry Jacobus. Sherry, how you doing?
Roland, appreciate it.
All right, Sherry, so explain to us. I mean, look, you've been a long-time Republican strategist. I've debated you on television before. You do not like Donald Trump at all because of how he has targeted you. So explain this effort that you're putting together to inform people in the heartland and other places where they're not on social media about what's in the Mueller report.
Okay, I want to correct you on one thing. My distaste for Donald Trump has nothing to do with my longtime feud. I was just one of the first victims of him. I also left the Republican Party 3 years ago. I'm an independent. But, you know, like so many of us, we're on Twitter, and I have a large Twitter following. I'm very active on Twitter. And we've been tweeting, and we've been posting things on Facebook, and we've been complaining, and I just decided that it's time to do something about it. When I realized that only 3% of Americans have read the Mueller report, and that there's a large segment that actually thinks that what Bob Barr said to America was true, and I realized that we're in trouble here. If you read the Mueller report as a United States citizen, you need to have a clear view of what it is. So I thought, you know what? I can't force people to read the Mueller report. I can tweet, and that's fine. Sometimes I'm preaching to the choir. So I have, with a couple of other people, we've launched a 501c4 nonprofit called America Reads the Mueller Report. What we're doing is we're raising money to produce a half-hour, 30-minute television program of celebrities reading excerpts from the Mueller report. We'll intersperse it with some direct clips from Mueller's press conferences and testimony. No spin, no political commentary, not asking anybody to do anything politically. It's just to educate and inform. And we are going to, and here's the clincher here, we're going to air this on hundreds of local television stations around the country, which means some people will tune in because they want to and try and get that certain relative or neighbor or coworker or friend that we all have. These are people who aren't on Twitter. Maybe they watch Fox News and they get their snail-mailed copy of the Judicial Watch report, in the mail, and they think they're informed, but they're not. And it's important that they be informed. So we're going to give them accurate information. They're going to catch this in that half hour before the football game that they tune into on the weekend, or maybe just after Jeopardy, or between their favorite fishing show, cooking show, whatever. And, we can buy this cheap. We've got everything lined up. And you and I have had some conversations about how to do this. And this is how you reach those people, that little sliver that's so important. We know that Vladimir Putin knows how important that little sliver is in the margins of these people. They might be older, but they're not online. They're not looking at online videos. They're not on Twitter. And so they look at certain things and they believe it.
So, Sherry, you talk about using entertainers to do so. The question, though, is, will those people be turned off by them when they say, oh, they're just Hollywood liberals? Why not recruit actual voters, or maybe voters who voted for Trump in 2016 who have no plans on voting for him in 2020?
Well, we're a nonprofit, and we're not going to be political, so whoever this hits and makes them think, that's fine. These are celebrities who want to be involved, and I don't even think you can call them liberals. I think once more and more Americans are looking at what we have in the White House, and all they want is the truth, and the truth is hard to come by. So that's all we're trying to do. We're not making a political pitch. As I said, we're a 501c4 nonprofit. But we do think it's important that people be familiar what's in it. So if you've got a favorite celebrity, maybe somebody, if you're a little bit older, in a flyover state, it might be a celebrity it might not be a pop star right now, but it's somebody that you recognize, somebody that you wouldn't necessarily think of as a liberal. And all they're doing is they're volunteering, and I've gotten a great response, by the way, from the Hollywood community. Some have contacted me personally, some are going through agents, and they just really want to do their part, and this is what they can do. And if people say they don't like celebrities, well, okay, so be it. But they're taking their time, donating their time, by the way, and they want to do this. And so, this is a way to get some attention. It is TV, it's local TV, and we're going to do this for as long as we can raise the money. And Roland, I can buy local TV really, really cheap, so we can really hit a lot of people and educate them. And we're going to go to as many states as possible, those flyover states, maybe some states, that are getting misinformation through Vladimir Putin, or they just don't have access to the information that you and I have, or most of the people we know and deal with, and the people on your panel. We tend to run in circles who are online a lot, and you have to remember that not everybody is. So there are Americans who are not dug in as any part of a cult. They really they really believe they're getting good information, and we know that they're not. So this is an effort that we can make, that can make a difference in our own little corner of the world, and we do need donations, and we're getting there, and we feel pretty good about it. So this is called America Reads the Mueller Report, and you can find us on GoFundMe, GoFundMe.com/America Reads the Mueller Report, and you'll see how we're doing. And we're going to get this done, we think, in late August, so that come fall, everybody, when they're back from vacation and everything, and they're gearing up to watch a lot of local TV, especially as the weather starts getting colder, we're going to make a difference little by little. We're going to be the tortoise rather than the hare. So we're going to do this over the course of the next year or so.
All right, Sheer Jacobus, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, folks, we go into a break right now. We come back. We're going to talk with Spencer Overton with the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies, who says that automation could be a killer to black economics. We'll explain. Next on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's talk about this issue of mobility. We have seen automation be a huge deal all across the country. How many companies have changed their methods of employing folks as a result of automation? Well, what are the impacts on African Americans? Well, the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies, they have put together a report on that lays out what that impact could be and how it could hurt African Americans. Joining us right now is Spencer Overton, CEO for the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. Spencer, what's up?
Hey, Roland. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, so let's break this down.
Yep.
How will automation hurt black economics?
Right. Well, we go to the drugstore and you have a kiosk rather than somebody working behind the cashier. A lot of people are ordering things from Amazon, and there are a lot of black people who work in retail who maybe don't have the same jobs they had before. So the economy is changing. As we roll in with autonomous vehicles, there could be more significant changes. Black folks are 3 times more likely to be taxi drivers than white folks. So we talk about automation and the impact on black folks, and it could be very significant. Now, here's what we did in terms of this report. We went out and we talked to over 500 black folks and 500 folks from different groups, and we wanted to get their take on the future of work, what we should do to move forward. We found that black folks overwhelmingly think that the federal government needs to take a significant leadership role in terms of getting people prepared for the future, ensuring that people have the skills for the jobs of tomorrow. Black folks wanted free college and free training for folks who were displaced. Black folks were very interested in training. They were very interested in both employer-provided training and then also government subsidies in terms of training. So your presidential candidates are getting together in Detroit, and I think they need to pay attention to the future of work, particularly with regard to black folks.
So the reality is automation is about technology.
Right.
Technology is changing the game. So look, people out there are ordering stuff off Amazon. They're preferring not to go to the store themselves, walking or driving or whatever. So, all right, if this is happening, it's not just affecting black folks, it's affecting everybody. I mean, you're not going to slow down technology. So what's the solution?
Right, that's absolutely right. I think the solution is really this training, education. Let's see where the puck is going. For me, a great movie is Hidden Figures. And you remember there, the black women who are the mathematicians, woman, she basically saw the IBM was coming. And so she went to the library, she learned Fortran herself. She didn't just learn it for herself, she actually taught it to her group of women, right? And then when the IBM came, they were the ones who were ready to go in and operate it. So there's a similar question now in terms of the new jobs that are coming along. How can we just have agency as black folks, see what's coming along and get in that, as opposed to just waiting till after the fact and waiting for some crumbs and say, oh, we're 12% of the population, give us 12% of the jobs. How do we get in and get the bulk of lucrative jobs? And training and education is a part of that. Roland, you remember the recession of 2007, 2009, like 4 of the 5 people who lost their jobs had high school or less in terms of their education. In terms of the jobs that came back since the recession, like 98% of those were the people who got them had either an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or some other skill in addition to high school. So, and the people who are most at risk to automation are those people who have high school or less. So getting skills now for relevant jobs, and I'm not talking about the fly-by-night for-profit colleges that'll put people in debt. I'm talking about real skills for in-demand jobs. Getting those skills now, I think, is critical.
All right, then, Spencer Overton, Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Roland.
All right, folks, some sad news here. The stepfather of NYPD chokehold victim Eric Garner died on Friday in Jamaica from an apparent heart attack while walking his daughter down the aisle at her wedding. Ben Carr had been in Jamaica with other members of the Garner family for the wedding of Leisha Garner, Eric's sister, when he suffered a medical emergency. His death comes just a year and a half after Eric Garner's daughter, Erica, also died from a heart attack shortly after giving birth to her second child. We certainly want to extend our condolences to Gwen Carr as well as the Garner family. All right, folks, the executive director of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee is stepping down due to pushback from Democratic lawmakers because of the lack of diversity in the committee's senior ranks. Executive Director Allison Jaslow announced her resignation at an all-staff meeting today, saying her resignation is effective immediately. Again, that organization has been criticized by Democratic lawmakers for not having diversity in their senior ranks. Well, now there's an opening. So we shall see what is going to happen. All right, last one from our panel, and let's deal with this. Dan Coates is stepping down as the director of National Intelligence, DNI, and Donald Trump has already appointed somebody who is one of his lackeys. So I'm going to go to you, RC, and also I need you to explain. We're seeing reports that Donald Trump was not happy that Dan Coates was very critical of the need to combat Russia impacting our 2020 election. There have been a couple of bills passed by the House, and Mitch McConnell, RC, won't even bring those bills up in the Senate, and they're designed to actually protect our election. Why is your party unwilling to stop Russia and others from impacting the 2020 election? Who y'all in bed with?
I mean, I think it's kind of a joke question. The longer that we continue to talk about Russia as an existential threat to our society is a longer delay in which we are talking about the actual practical problems we have in America. Look, Mitch McConnell is going to allow this to go to a vote when it's time for it to go to a vote.
Are you actually saying
that
RC, whoa, hold on, RC, are you actually saying you do not believe that Russia tried to impact the 2016 election?
No, I mean, they certainly tried, but they also certainly try every single election. This is not something that is new. Russia tries to do this every time. The notion that
Actually,
Russia
it is new.
Creating some bots online somehow made the election go to Donald Trump, though, that is the statutory problem with the question that you are posing. And that's the problem with this narrative about Russia in general. Look, Russia isn't what made Rust Belt voters feel disaffected and disillusioned by Democrats, right? So we can continue talking about Russia, and sure, Mitch should allow that bill to go to a vote, but this is just smokescreen and just a little bit more of a cheap political stunt by the Democrats, just like that little Sherry Jacobs attempt to have celebrities read the catastrophic Mueller report.
Roland, please let me talk.
First of all,
hold on. Not believe in our democracy.
Wait. First of all, her name is Sherry Jacobus. That's first. Second of all, Avis, for RC to just completely dismiss Russia and its impact on the election, it's nuts. Dan Coates has talked about it. The report last week said they tried to go after all 50 states. We have evidence that they actually access the voting records to counties in Florida. But RC's like, it's no big deal. Let's just have brunch and just have a little fun.
Right, because, you know, he's betting on the fact, and as well as Mitch McConnell, who happened to get campaign contributions from voting machine companies, by the way. You know, a whole lot of campaign contributions. You know, that sounds kind of swampy to me. I don't know about you, but I kind of remember somebody saying they want to clean up a swamp, and the swamp still seems to be here, and it seems to be worse than ever. But I'll just say that, you know, what's going on here is very clear. You have someone who sat in the Oval Office and basically invited the world to tamper in our elections, who has basically put America up for sale on the auction block to the highest bidder. And I think it's very interesting that a party that likes to talk about love of country, that a party that likes to claim that they are in favor of democracy, is doing everything they can to undermine democracy and to play footsie with some of the most vile, autocratic governments in this nation, including putting the American voter somehow behind the interests of foreign interests that, in fact, are not in favor of doing anything to help this nation. In fact, they're foreign bodies that have, for generations, worked very hard to do everything possible to undermine the nation. And unfortunately, it seems like they're very successful.
Every president since Franklin Roosevelt has understood the Russian commitment to undermine the American economy and the American democracy. Every president, every premier of Russia, from Stalin to Khrushchev to Brezhnev to now Putin, and everybody in between, has a commitment to have the control of the world. That is not for question. And for this president to sit back and put our democracy up for sale and be inconvenienced by whatever his personal thing is that Putin has on him is treason. And I'm surprised we don't hear the word treason more often. Yep. We know who they are. They have identified themselves with flying colors. And we keep letting this president commit this level of treason.
Absolutely.
Well, I just find it remarkable that Republicans, this is the same party of Ronald Reagan. Tear down that wall, Mr. Gorbachev.
Right.
All the evil empire. And now guys like RC go, no biggie.
We got another problem.
It's just Russia.
Right.
No biggie. All right, folks, it's been a great day. I want to thank RC for the entertainment. Again, RC, when you come on this show, bring your facts, RC. Don't want to get embarrassed. Thanks a bunch. Avis, Joy, I appreciate it as well. Hey, folks, if you want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered, please go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. There's no show like this. We bring the funk. We cover the issues that matter to us most importantly, and we do this for you. Tomorrow we're going to have, of course, we're here from some folks here at the Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Golf Classic. It's been a ball. Smokey Robinson, Ahmad Rashad. Man, so many folks who are here. Mike Phillips, Flex Alexander, and so it's always a good time here. And so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Again, we want you to support us. Join our fan club. Every dollar you give goes to support this show. I know that a lot of people, they like, man, send me a mug or send me a cup or send me a shirt. Look, all that stuff costs money, but the fact of the matter is every dollar you give goes right into this show because we want to be able to have the kind of discussions you're not going to get on any of these cable or broadcast networks. All right, folks, I got to go. You have an absolutely great day. Holla! You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey, yo, Peace World, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ow. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan, and if you're ready, you are listening to and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey, yo, Peace World, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. And, well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan. And if you're ready, you are listening to and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.